Hello and welcome everyone to the second session of the DuraCloud Brown Bag series of 2013. As many of you probably know, my name is Carissa Smith and I'm the partner specialist primarily working on the DuraCloud project, which is both a managed service and an open source technology from the DuraSpace not-for-profit organization. To find out more about either DuraCloud or DuraSpace, I highly encourage you to visit their respective websites at duracloud.org and duraspace.org. Please note that your audio for today's call is disabled, as you probably already noticed, but I highly encourage participation through the chat feature, which is located in the bottom right of your screen. And I see Charles has already added a question into the chat. You simply insert your question, hit the conversation bubble, and it will send to the entire group today. Feel free to use that feature throughout the demo of the sync tool. If you have questions that come up as I'm speaking, feel free to insert them in the chat or hold them at the end, and I will be sure to address all of the questions as they come into the chat at the end. I always make sure to leave enough time at the end to address all of the questions. Charles, I'll answer your question really quick. DuraCloud is an open source technology. You can find the DuraCloud source code on the DuraCloud wiki, which I will show you in a moment. So that way you can certainly install DuraCloud on your own systems and integrate the core code with various cloud storage providers, which will probably be a little bit more obvious when I get into the DuraCloud user interface, but it is also an open source technology that you can download and run yourself, but the DuraSpace organization also obviously offers it as a hosted service as well. Okay, Catherine keeps saying that the audio is lost and then it's back. If anybody else has audio questions, please let me know, and I'll do my best to troubleshoot as we go. Hopefully everything will go smoothly. All right, with that, I'd like to get the brown bag session today started. As I noted, I'll be doing a demonstration of the new DuraCloud synchronization tool. It is a graphical user interface tool, so it's a really what I think is a very snazzy interface. So let me pause for one moment and get out of this slide. And one moment here, folks, while I transition my screen, and I can see that I have two monitors going, so I'm making sure that you can see what I'm presenting today. All right, so I thought I'd first start today with going to the DuraCloud documentation, which is located on the DuraSpace wiki. You can probably see the URL at the top of the screen, but if not, I will post it in the chat here at the end of the demo. I wanted to highlight that we do have DuraCloud documentation, specifically documentation for the synchronization tool, utility, sync tool. I'll use all of those titles interchangeably. It's all the same application that I'll be showing you today. And the documentation is available on the wiki, as I mentioned. And also on this documentation page is the link to download the sync tool. So if you're not a DuraCloud customer, you can certainly download the sync tool and play around with it to a certain extent on your local machine. Of course, you would need a DuraCloud account to actually transfer content to, so you would need to be a customer or have a trial account running. But you certainly at any point can download the tool to see what it looks like on your local machine, regardless of whether you're a customer or not. And you would simply go to the download the sync tool link. You'll see below that there's two actual interfaces to the synchronization tool. Today I will be demonstrating the graphical component of the sync tool. There's also the command line interface to the synchronization tool, and for folks who are familiar with DuraCloud or are current DuraCloud customers, this should probably not be too much of a surprise, as the synchronization tool has always had a command line interface for the more developer and tech-savvy folks in the group, and that will continue to persist with the new sync tool. You can certainly interact with it at the command line, and I'll show you just a quick couple commands throughout the demo today as well for the more programmatically savvy folks on the call. So again, just wanted to note that the documentation is available. whether you're a DuraCloud customer or not. But now, actually getting into the meat and the heart of the demo, in a new tab, I've opened up the demonstration DuraCloud account that I always perform these sessions using. It's located at demo.duracloud.org. For those of you on the call who are not familiar, DuraCloud is a web application that is then integrated with a variety of commercial and academic cloud storage providers. So what you see in front of you is simply the web application, DuraCloud, and then as soon as I log in, I'll show you the cloud storage providers that this DuraCloud account is integrated with. One last thing to note, that as a customer of DuraCloud, you have the ability to customize this URL. So it could be your institution name.duracloud.org. That is something that is a customizable field when you sign up for the DuraCloud service. So with that, I'm going to log into this DuraCloud account, assuming I typed my password correctly. And before we really delve into the demonstration of the sync tool, I wanted to first orient folks who are not familiar with DuraCloud to the DuraCloud interface that's in front of you. So here on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see, of course, the DuraCloud logo and lovely cloud branding. But below that, you'll see the Amazon Web Services logo. And that gives you a visual indication that the content that's going to be shown below that is currently being stored in Amazon's S3 commercial cloud. Now, one of the strengths of DuraCloud is that this interface is also integrated with a handful of other cloud storage providers, and that's something that you can choose, you the customer can choose when you subscribe to the DuraCloud service. You can subscribe to just have your DuraCloud account integrated with Amazon, or one or more of our other commercial and academic cloud providers. So of course I mentioned Amazon as one of the commercial providers that DuraCloud is integrated with. Also available is integration with Rackspace Cloud Files, the other commercial cloud storage provider. And we also are integrated with the San Diego Supercomputer Cloud Storage Facility as well. And you can see that from the provider pull-down window. With this DuraCloud account, I have all three, Amazon S3, SDSC, and Rackspace available. And you simply would navigate by clicking on one of these providers, choosing it from the pull-down, and then you would navigate to that area within your DuraCloud account. I've done a couple different brown bags about how DuraCloud handles replication between all of the various cloud providers, as well as the various subscription plans and the differences there. And Ian is reporting that my audio keeps cutting in and out. Oh, that's a problem, because I'm not sure how to rectify. If you keep noticing this, folks, let me know. Yeah, that would probably just be my bandwidth having issues. So I apologize for that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to change that, obviously, because I can't change my bandwidth. All right, so if it continues to be a problem, perhaps I will have to reschedule this brown bag for another time. Or, yeah, because I don't think, brainstorming off the top of my head of another way that I could call in, and I don't really know of one that wouldn't leverage the bandwidth. So let me know if it becomes even more of a problem and it continues to persist, and then I can always postpone and reschedule this brown bag. Apologies, folks. I don't know really how else to to improve my bandwidth on the spot. So just ping me if it continues to happen, and then I can reschedule this brown bag for the folks on the call. So I had left off stating that DuraCloud is integrated with various commercial and academic cloud providers, and I wanted to note that within the next month, DuraCloud will launch an integration with Amazon Glacier as a secondary storage provider. So keep your eyes tuned for a public press release, as well as updates to our DuraCloud pricing page. Within the next month or so, we will be launching Amazon Glacier integration with DuraCloud. So with that said, I'm going to just describe the interface really quickly, and then I will jump into the demonstration. The interface itself is oriented from left to right. As you move further right on your screen, you'll get more detailed information about whatever it is you've selected. So in the first column, you'll note that there is something called DuraCloud Spaces, which is essentially the same thing as a DuraCloud or a container, a bucket, just a high-level storage area for your content in the cloud. So if I click on a space, the interface itself will come to life and have a lot more information available to you. And again, I've gone over all of these details in previous brown bag sessions, so I won't belabor those points today. But I will note that in the center column here are the list of content items that are currently being stored within this Carissa folder test space. And then here on the right-hand side of your screen, the right-hand panel, is always the detail for whatever it is you've selected. In this case, I've selected the Carissa folder test space. It's highlighted in dark gray, so you see the space details here on the right. If I select one of these content items, it is highlighted in dark gray, and then you see that the detail panel is now content details here on the right-hand side of your screen. So just going back here for one moment and clicking on the space, you'll note that there are currently 5 content items stored within this space. And then jumping into the actual heart of the demo, and let me poll the group. How is my audio at this point in time? If anybody is having issues, please let me know. I see a couple folks. I'll keep talking. That's what I do. Still cutting in and out for Catherine, and it's okay for Marty. Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep going as is, and then if there is an issue, I will post the recording, and if the recording has issues, then I will re-record the audio for folks, and we can go from there. But I will be sure to make a recording available that has full audio for everybody on the call. And then be sure, please folks, remind me, just put in your email address into the chat here at the end, and I'll be sure to email you directly the link to the recording as well, because the system doesn't record your email address for me, so that would be my only way to contact you. All right, so with those logistics out of the way, in the center of your screen, you'll see a couple different buttons, and the most important one today is the Get Sync tool. So as soon as you click on that button, you will be presented with a downloadable jar file, which I've already downloaded, so hopefully won't cut out my audio. And it will also automatically open up the documentation page for the sync tool, which I showed earlier. But let me navigate to the actual tool itself. So I downloaded the tool onto my desktop, and it's called DuraCloud-Sync 2.3.0, which is the latest and greatest synchronization tool. You can run this tool in one of 2 ways, as I mentioned. The first way is to double-click on the tool, and it will pop up the graphical user interface. And then the second way is, again, probably familiar to the current DuraCloud customers that may be on the line, and that's through the command line. I'm not actually going to go over that in too much detail, other than showing folks how to initiate interacting with this tool at the command line. So as probably many of you know who do this on a more regular basis than myself, java-jar, you type in the name of the tool itself. Actually, first I need to change my directory to my desktop. And this is what happens when I'm doing this live. So java-jar, and you type in the name of the tool itself. And assuming I can type and speak at the same time. If you append the -- help feature at the end of this command line, you will see the full list of configuration options that are available for the sync tool if you're interacting with it at the command line. And some of these are required configuration options, such as -h, which is your host, your DuraCloud instance, and then some of the configuration options listed here are optional. So again, I will not be going over how to interact with the sync tool at the command line. I do actually have a training video on the DuraCloud YouTube channel for this, if anybody is interested, but I just wanted to essentially underscore the fact that the sync tool can be run in two modes. One is this lovely command line way, and then the second, and the one that I will spend time on today, is through the new graphical user interface. So to get that started, you would simply double-click on this application file. You can run it in whatever directory you have on your local machine or a server. I just happen to put it on my desktop for the sake of my sanity and doing hopefully a knock on wood, an easy demo without any issues. So you'll see that the DuraCloud Sync tool is starting up, and it will give you a little status of its percentage in terms of loading and getting started. One other thing I'll note is that down here on a Windows machine in the taskbar, you'll see that the DuraCloud Sync tool has started. It would be probably in your application dock on a Mac machine, an Apple machine. And that's important to note, this little icon in the taskbar, because that will be how we actually exit or completely stop the tool when we're done using it. But for right now, just note that it is there and it is starting up. This does take a few minutes to get started. Let me make sure I have a little cheat sheet to make sure that there wasn't anything else that I wanted to talk about. I think we're good. And I haven't seen any other reports on my audio issues, so that's hopefully a good sign. So as soon as this tool loads, it will open up a new tab in a browser or an entirely new browser window, depending on what your default browser is. One thing I'll note is that it does open up a particular URL here in your browser, and the sync tool will continue to run if you exit out of this browser. And so I would suggest one of two things. You could bookmark this browser, this particular URL, because it does not change, it is static. Or you would just simply double-click on the DuraCloud Sync tool application that's on the desktop to get back to the screen. So you can either bookmark this URL or double-click on that application to get it started again if you accidentally exit out of this browser window. And just note that even if you do exit out of this browser window at any point in time, the sync tool will continue to run. It doesn't stop the process at all. So if you have an ongoing synchronization, it will not impact that synchronization whatsoever. This tool is just the graphical component for you, the user, to really monitor the status of your synchronization. So this lovely little tool is just a wizard, as you might expect from other tools out there in the wild, and we're going to just simply walk through this. It is what I think relatively snazzy and straightforward, but so I'm going to hit continue. The first step is to insert the host name for your DuraCloud account. In this case, it's demo.duracloud.org, but for customers, it would be your institution name.duracloud.org. Of course, you have to insert your username and password so that this tool can authenticate to your DuraCloud account and transfer the content to it. I'm simply going to hit next, ignore that Firefox wants to remember my password. I'm going to next be presented with a pull-down window of the spaces that I can upload content to, and these will match the two spaces that you saw in the DuraCloud account when I logged in earlier. I'm going to add content today to my Carissa folder test space. And then the next setting is the actual location of your local content that you would like to synchronize or upload to DuraCloud. And this is pulling directly from the machine that I'm working on right now. So I'm just going to drill down. It does pull up all of your system files. I'm going to drill down to my desktop. One moment, bear with me here. Okay, so I finally found the directory to my desktop, and I have a folder that I'd like to upload to DuraCloud. So you can select as many individual files or folders as you'd like. If you do select a folder, note that all of the content stored in that folder, as well as any subfolders within that folder, will be uploaded to DuraCloud. So I have a March Madness 2013 folder that I'd like to add, and I just simply select it and choose Add. The next screen will confirm that that is indeed the path to either the individual file or the directory that you would like to upload to DuraCloud. If you have additional files and folders that you want to add, you simply click Add Directory or Files, and you would go through the same process again to select additional content. I actually don't have anything else that I'm going to demonstrate today, so I'll just click Cancel to go back to this screen. So again, you can add as much content as you wish using the selection screen, again, as many files or folders as you'd like. One thing I will note is that this tool is using your local internet connection and your bandwidth that is available to the machine that you're working on. So if you've selected a lot of content, multiple gigabytes, just keep in mind that it is leveraging your internet connection, so it might take a little while depending on how zippy your connection is. And it might slow down any other internet work that you have going on. So I wouldn't recommend watching YouTube videos and uploading content at the same time necessarily, because it will slow down both, as you might expect. All right, so with that little caveat, I will click on the Next button. And of course, the little wizard is now reporting that I'm ready to sync this content that I've selected. So I would simply click Start Now. And in this next screen, you'll see a couple different things. First, you'll see that the tool is starting, and then it will say that the queue size is 5. That's the number of content items that are currently in that March Madness folder. And then, this is going quicker than I can actually speak. When the queue size was reporting 5, there was a long list of items down here in the queued for synchronization list at the bottom of the page, and that was just the tool reporting the content items that it was planning to synchronize to the cloud. So when it's in the process of synchronizing, there will be a list available down here in the queued for synchronization, as well as the queue size listed here on the left-hand side of your screen. However, it went very fast and successfully uploaded the content items that were in that folder. So you can see the list of successfully uploaded content here on the right side of your screen. You can see all 5 content items. And you can also see that there are no active uploads or syncs happening at this particular moment, as everything was successfully uploaded. If there happened to be an error, meaning that one of your content items did not upload successfully, this tool would also report that to you here in the error count area on the left-hand side of your screen. And it would also list the errors down here in the bottom. There is an Errors tab next to the Queued for Synchronization tab, and it would present to you a list of the errors, so you could retry uploading those content items if you wanted to. A couple other notes I wanted to make about this interface. You can see that there is a green status bar at the top of the page that says Waiting. And that implies that the synchronization tool is still running in the background of your machine. It's still watching the March Madness folder that I had created. And essentially, what it will do is it will upload any additional content that is added to that directory or changed within that directory in this waiting stage. So I can demonstrate this on the fly here. I have an additional logo on my desktop that I'm going to place into my March Madness folder. And if I move quickly enough, you will see that this sync tool will pick up that addition of that content item to that folder. And you can see that it's actively starting to sync that Final Four logo image. So again, the tool was watching that March Madness directory. I added some content and it was able to pick up that content addition and automatically synchronize it to DuraCloud. And again, I can exit out of this, this browser window, and this tool will continue to operate in the same fashion. I will show you how to actually physically and manually stop the tool from watching that directory at the end of the demo today. But it does not stop if you exit out of this browser. It will continue to run in the background on your machine, so keep that in mind as well. A couple other things to note in this interface. There is a configuration tab here in the top left of your screen. If you click on that, there's a couple different configuration options that are available to you that you can either add to or edit. Right now, the tool is reporting that I'm only watching the March Madness 2013 folder on my desktop, but I can add additional content that should be added to the list of watched directories or files. At any point in time, you just click Add and then navigate to your local content. On the right-hand side is the DuraCloud configuration information, which you can certainly edit as well. You can certainly update it, this tool, to load content to another DuraCloud instance altogether, upload it as a different username, upload it to a different space. So if I wanted to upload to not my Carissa folder test space, but to the other space, which I think was Michelle's videos, I think, you can edit this information and upload to that space just through this configuration window. The last step, if you do change any of this configuration information, is first, of course, to edit it in this tab. But then you have to navigate back to the status tab, and that's when you leverage the stop and start buttons. So the synchronization tool will not pick up those configuration changes until you've hit stop and then you restart the tool. And that's simply because the synchronization tool is running in the background merrily, and it does not automatically know to look for changes in that configuration tab. So you have to manually essentially tell the synchronization tool to stop and reconfigure itself. So the steps for changing a configuration, just to recap, are to edit the configuration information in the configuration tab, and then come back to the status tab, click stop to stop your synchronization tool from running, and then to start it back up again, and that will pick up any of the new configuration information and start the tool with that new information in mind. So whether it be to a new DuraCloud instance or a new DuraCloud space, it will certainly restart using that information. All right, so I'm going to navigate back to the DuraCloud account that I just uploaded content to for a minute. So you can see that indeed the content was added to my Carissa folder test space. I'm simply going to click the refresh button here in the content items panel. And assuming I haven't talked too long, it should be there. So you can see that below the original 5 content items are now the 6 content items that I added from my March Madness folder. There's a couple different logo JPEGs and a couple brackets and the Sweet 16 schedule coming up. And just to ensure that the content is there, I'm simply going to view one of these content items. And of course, I'm going to make a plug for my alma mater, Syracuse University. Go SU. No offense to any of the Indiana University folks on the line. It should be a good game on Thursday. Another thing that I'll note with the synchronization tool, I'm shocked it hasn't come up or anybody hasn't noticed this yet. So the synchronization tool ignores the name of the top level folder. So you don't see March Madness listed anywhere with my content items. So the sync tool does ignore that top level folder name, but it does persist any subfolders within that local directory. So you can see that my logos do have a content item name that is prepended with the folder name that they're stored in. So you can see that logos, Indiana University, March Madness, and Syracuse University were stored in the logos folder. And the logos folder is indeed a subfolder of my March Madness folder on my main machine. So just to recap, the synchronization tool ignores the top level folder name when you do sync your content, but it does persist any other subfolders, regardless of how nested they may be. I only have one nested folder called logos, but if I had another folder within the logos, it would persist that in the content names as they're stored in DuraCloud. And you can see that here in the 3 different logos that were stored in that logos folder. All right, so it is officially 1 o'clock. I have been talking for about a half an hour. there are just a few quick items that I wanted to cover, and then I will open up the floor for questions for folks. So as I mentioned, this synchronization tool, graphical user interface, will continue to run even if you X out of this tab. So it'll continue to watch that local directory. The way that you manually stop the synchronization tool from running is right-clicking on that little taskbar in the bottom of your machine, and you can indeed see this. You right-click and choose Exit, and that will stop the synchronization tool from running completely. And you can double-check by reloading this localhost 8888 URL, and it will say that it's you can't establish a connection to that local host anymore after you've shut off your DuraCloud sync tool. So that, again, will give you an indication that your sync tool is officially shut off. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is that the synchronization tool does keep track of all of the content that it's added or changed within a DuraCloud account, and it stores those log files on your local machine. And I will navigate to those so you can see where they are. So they're located in your C directory under the user that you've logged into this computer with, which in this case it's me, Carissa. And it stores all of its log files in the DuraCloud-sync work directory. It does create that directory the first time it starts up, and then it will continue to store those log files in that directory. So it knows the synchronization tool is capable of knowing if it gets shut down, where it left off, what files it has transferred to DuraCloud, etc. So just keep that in mind. If you blow that directory away completely, the DuraCloud tool will start from scratch and upload content from scratch. All right. So with that, I think those are the main highlights of this new sync tool graphical user interface that I wanted to cover. And I see there are questions coming in. Charles Blair asks, it's Java, so I can run this on any OS that supports Java, correct? That is correct, Charles. The one thing I will note is that this tool requires Java 7 and above. It does not run on anything below Java 7. So you do have to do a Java upgrade if you're not running Java 7, regardless of what OS you're on. And that is also detailed in the documentation as well, but I forgot to mention that at the beginning of today's session. Let's see, Martin asks, under select space, would we select our DSpace instance, e.g. test, production, etc.? Let's see, select space. Let's see where we are in. That's a good question, and based on my knowledge of DSpace, you probably couldn't just select a DSpace instance unless it's storing content in a file directory structure on either your local machine or a local server. And it's my knowledge that DSpace does not store content in that way. If you wanted to back up DSpace content to DuraCloud, there's the separate replication task suite that allows you to back up content directly from your DSpace administrative interface to a DuraCloud account, which probably operates similar to what I showed today, but it is very DSpace-centric, meaning that you can choose to back up communities and collections and individual items from a DSpace instance directly to DuraCloud, and then not only back them up, but retrieve them or restore them back into a DSpace instance. Similar, I think, from a GUI perspective, but it would be all initiated in a DSpace, your DSpace instance itself, versus using the DuraCloud sync tool. Other questions that I can answer for folks. Catherine Lynch asks, is Isilon supported as a provider for DuraCloud? It is not currently, Catherine. Right now, as I mentioned, there's Amazon S3 and Rackspace Cloud Files as the two commercial cloud storage providers, and also the academic cloud provider, San Diego Supercomputer Cloud Storage. And forthcoming in the next month will be Amazon Glacier, but we don't have any Isilon cloud providing services at this point. Those are the ones I mentioned are the ones that we support currently. Oh, sorry, Catherine. I will, I'll type that into the chat, my full answer. Any other questions from folks regarding the graphical user interface to the sync tool, which is new and improved with this release of DuraCloud? And while I wait for a couple more questions to come in, I will do my typical shameless plug for a free DuraCloud trial account. Simply go to duracloud.org to sign up for a trial account. And I'll do my last shameless plug to stay tuned for the next brown bag session in April. It should be on the 24th, same time, same place. If anybody has topic suggestions, feel free to pass them along to me. Any other questions from folks? We still have about 10 minutes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the sync tool, or if there's DuraCloud related questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. And Charles Blair said he missed the Isilon answer, and I am sure it's because my audio cut out, so I'm going to type it here. So one moment. Any other questions from folks on the call? All right. I think all of the questions have died down. Apologies, everyone, for the audio issues. I will look into how I can rectify that for the next session, and I will re-record this session if if the recording even has audio issues. Again, I apologize. If everybody could put in their email address before you sign out, if you do want a direct link to the recording, I will happily email that to you by the end of the week. So again, thank you all for your attention and your participation. It's truly my pleasure hosting and facilitating these brown bags, and I hope they are useful to all of you folks. So have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and wonderful